Figuring out what makes the list of the best RPG games has to take one important factor into account: escapism. As you can't fire electric bolts from your hands in real life, or converse with aliens, unless Men in Black was actually a documentary and we just don't know it yet, it's a good job that those fantastical pursuits aren't quite out of reach. One of the things you can do to experience those kind of worlds is jump into the best RPG games around, which we have oh so helpfully rounded up into the helpful list below. All these games allow you to customize your character however you see fit, and some even overlap with the best open-world games. Who knows, Assassin's Creed Odyssey might even worm its way onto the list with its new RPG-ish features. But until then, here are the best RPG games to play right now. Some online stores give us a small cut if you buy something through one of our links. Read our affiliate policy for more info. 25. Neo available on PS4, PC. Whether you like to hit hard and slow, or time rapid strikes with pinpoint precision, NIOH has the perfect weapon for you. It's a good job too, as finding a fighting style and armor that works for you is the most important thing in NIOH, as well as being where its action RPG element comes from. And boy, is there a lot of action. As you slash your way through 16th century Japan to save your guardian spirit Saoirse, there's a tons of supernatural yokai that will try and stop you in your tracks, most of them with sharp teeth, and you can use anything from a bastard sword to one of the many types of katana or tachi to cut your way through them. For an extra challenge factor, start a playthrough with a completely different weapon / armor ... and get used to the sight of your limp, dead body for the first hour or so. 24. Kingdom Come: Deliverance available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Henry the Blacksmith's son can either be a hero, or an utter cad. Thanks to Kingdom Come: Deliverance's intricate and unforgiving mechanics, he can pickpocket the villages, scratching a living out of the Bohemian villages, dedicate time to making the perfect potion, or refine parrying to become the scourge of bandits everywhere. Kingdom Come: Deliverance is one of the best RPG games out there, not just because of its protagonist, but also because the world around Henry has strict rules, which are obviously there to be broken. Breaking or abiding by these rules gives you enough role-playing potential for playthrough after playthrough, with multiple ways to solve each quest, just begging you to be a dick one moment and a benevolent helper the next. 23. South Park: The Stick of Truth available on PS4, Xbox One, PC, Nintendo Switch. It should come as no surprise that not only is South Park: The Stick of Truth ridiculously funny, but it also pushes fantasy tropes as far as they'll go. Thankfully, that doesn't mean that you're stuck as a mage, fighter, thief, or Jew, a class which grants you the Jiu-Jitsu fighting style. No, I'm not kidding, as throughout the game you can learn whichever skills you want and tailor the new kid to be exactly the hero you have in mind. You know, if you imagine 2D kids when you hear the word hero. Characters from the TV show fight alongside you, although you can only saunter around with one of them at a time, and as long as you're okay with tons of inside jokes and the odd magical fart attack, the Stick of Truth will delight for hours on end. 22. Diablo 3 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Loot, glorious loot. Diablo 3 has a ton of it. Anyone looking for endless customization options in their ideal RPG should gravitate to Diablo 3 like a well-aimed crossbow gravitates towards a demon's skull. That endless torrent of colored loot push you onwards no matter which of the 7 classes you decide to play as, constantly evolving your playstyle to suit the shiniest new item and experimenting so that those pesky demons have a much harder time beating you up. Randomly generated levels means that it's a literally endless RPG, so if for some reason you're not too fussed by an impressively voiced story campaign and atmosphere, you can just go on a majestic quest for loot. Lots and lots of loot. 21. Persona 5 available on PS4. School is hard. It's even harder when you have a superpowered alter ego who spends their nights roaming through a supernatural realm fighting the bloodthirsty, personified desires of the people around them. fighting isn't the only thing that makes Persona 5 one of the best RPG games of 2017, though. As well as slashing your way through winding combat levels, you have to navigate daily life as a student at your new academy. Chat to your fellow classmates, try to balance schoolwork with a part-time job, or be a bit more productive with your time and craft items that'll help you in an alternate world that's filled with the manifestation of people's rather unfriendly inner psyches. The two different gameplay cycles flesh out Persona 5 and make it an incredibly well-balanced game, and one that you can't miss even if you have a ton of homework to do. 20. Ni no Kuni 2 available on PS4, PC. It's going to be tricky to leave the world of Ni no Kuni 2 behind, mainly because it's so vivid that each district takes on a life of its own. As the young King Evan, you've got to prove to your subjects that you're worthy of the crown, and their adoration, of course. Although most of your time is spent adventuring around the various regions doing favors for people, that's unsurprisingly not all there is to Ni no Kuni 2. Part of your duties involve managing your kingdom, building new, well, buildings, and watch how your resources alter and change to match. Just keep an eye on the treasury. Skirmishes are also dotted around the whole map, encourage you to strengthen your army in real-time strategy encounters, so if you're looking for a fully rounded kingdom simulator, look no further than Ni no Kuni 2. 19. Final Fantasy 15 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Another RPG game with royal blood coursing through its veins, Final Fantasy 15 puts you in the shoes of Noctis as he adventures across the land of Eos with his buddies. Power of friendship isn't just so you can fill all the seats in your car, though. Bespectacled Ignis learns new recipes as you dedicate more time to exploration. During combat, your pals back up your attacks with perfectly timed combo strikes. Prompto's photography skills improve alongside the selfies he takes, and Gladiola's survival abilities scales with the distance you travel during the day. As you're responsible for Noctis' growth and the well-being of your gems, this RPG game is saturated with heart. Prepare yourself for the distinct possibility of getting over-attached to those virtual characters. 18. Undertale available on PS4, PC, Nintendo Switch. I'm going to let you in on a secret: you don't always have to fight those big bad monsters that typically appear in the best RPG games. Undertale chucks you into the underground, a realm below Earth filled with weird but wonderful monsters. Trying to break through to the surface involves meeting these odd creatures and choosing whether to kill them, or show mercy, make some friends, and prevent any more bloodshed. See, the monsters ended up on the wrong side of a war with the humans, and it didn't end too well. As a human yourself, they don't look upon you too kindly, so the importance of your behavior can't be underestimated, and being able to choose how you deal with each monster makes Undertale ripe for replaying time and time again. 17. World of Warcraft available on PC. There's a good reason why World of Warcraft has such a loyal fan base. It's one of the best RPG games out there, hands down. With a practically endless loot system and two completely different factions to choose from as they battle through Azeroth, there's the potential to literally see both sides of the war between the Horde and the Alliance. Take on bosses with a humongous group of friends or go on questing alone. No matter whether you like your role-playing experience to be large or small, World of Warcraft has been going on long enough to fill any craving you have. 16. Nier Automata available on PS4, PC. Hacking and slashing with all the fury of the wronged android is pretty fun as it is, but when you take advantage of the fact that those nuts and bolts that make up your body mean you can pick and choose which chips are installed in that mind of yours, then the game starts to run as smoothly as a well-oiled machine. Swap them in and out to suit the enemies you're coming up against, and take full advantage of the 4 weapons at your disposal to create devastating combos. And when things get really desperate, or if you just want to keep your distance, your floating support unit, called Pod, can pepper your foes with bullets or lasers. Encompassing both hack-and-slash and shoot-'em-up genres, Nier Automata's story is enthralling enough to make you go through it all over again to get those extra endings. Best PS4 games, best Xbox One games, best action games, best co-op games. Page 2 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Just in case the title didn't make it obvious, in Monster Hunter World you hunt monsters. But although the main prize is the Diablo's armor set or just the thrill of the hunt itself, how you take down those beasts is what you'll be obsessing over as soon as you face your first great Jagras. Experimenting with different weapons will take up your first handful of hours, and then once you develop an attachment to a particular implement you start to realize the crafting potential with all those bits and bobs dropped by your, now dead, quarries. The other half of the game opens up with this epiphany, so prepare yourself for some micromanagement levels of tweaking and optimizing before you go out into the wild to perfect your character for the fight they're about to face. 14. Middle-earth: Shadow of War available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. The Nemesis system is back in Middle-earth: Shadow of War. It sure as hell puts the role-playing into RPG. Cultivating a powerful hatred of that goddamn towards the flesh glutton, or whatever your nemesis happens to be called, won't seem possible on your first encounter, but after they kill you and start to rise through the ranks you'll soon find yourself fantasizing about taking down that vile imposter every single time you boot up the game. Sure, playing the Ranger Italian as a sneaky stabber or the kind of ranger who goes in sword swinging is kinda fun too, but what makes Shadow of War one of the best RPG games is the way it encourages you to manage your followers. You can send them to be spies, or sow seeds of discontent if you leave them to die in battle. There are so many options even Sauron himself would be overwhelmed. 13. Dragon Age Inquisition available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Sorry to drop some major life lessons on you, but the people you surround yourself with says a hell of a lot about you as a person. The same principle applies to Dragon Age Inquisition. Adventuring around its massive dangerous areas alone would lead to you becoming a bloody red smudge pretty quickly, so tailoring your group of followers will depend entirely on how you prefer to play. Bloodthirsty melee players will benefit from keeping those mages at a distance to buff you in combat, or if you prefer to stay safely away from the action you'll need to befriend the Iron Bull, who's buff in a very different way. Although it might be a bit overwhelming for newcomers, getting to know each of the characters is enough motivation to return to Inquisition's world time and time again. 12. Stardew Valley available on PS4, Xbox One, PC, Nintendo Switch. Pelican Town welcomes everyone. After inheriting your grandfather's farm, it might be that you want to cultivate the land into a lush paradise with fruits and vegetables springing from the ground, or perhaps you'd rather focus on the social side of the game and romance a villager of your choosing. More and more of the game unfolds the further you'll get, as aside from selling your produce and/or leveling up friendships you can also tackle the dungeon-crawling mines. Or spend your days fishing. Or just buy hats. Seasons dictate what you can and can't do, so you'll soon find yourself falling into a pleasantly repetitive routine. That's a good thing, trust me. 11. Dark Souls 3 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Action RPG doesn't get much more action-y than Dark Souls 3. Wield whatever weapon you like, deck yourself in the armor, and go to town on the creatures standing in your way. New shield and weapon skills bulk out how much you can tweak your combat, letting you unleash special attacks and delve even more into the character-building side of things. Encouraging exploration through its intertwined map, shortcuts and alternate routes that were invisible on your first. Every single fight will keep you on your toes and, more importantly, switching out weapons to suit the next abomination you'll be facing. You might not see the Ashen One's face a whole lot, but who needs words when you've got to fight off hordes of bloodthirsty monsters? 10. Borderlands 2 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. There's so much you can say with the gun you have holstered at your hip. Sniper rifle? You're probably the planning type. Shotgun? Getting up close and personal sounds like your cup of tea. dual-wielding a combat rifle and a revolver. You're definitely a gunzerker. It might sound bonkers, but Borderlands 2 encourages this type of chaotic shenanigans. Side quests from the ridiculous inhabitants of its world range from healing a wounded skag pup to shooting Shooty McFace in the face, and as you level up your class skill tree you'll soon find even handsome Jack quaking in his boots. Joking. That arrogant douchebag is your enemy for a reason, after all. 9. Mass Effect 2 available on Xbox One, backwards compatibility, PC with at least 3 potential playthroughs on the cards depending on your dialogue-responsive choice. Mass Effect 2's rich characters make it easily one of the best RPG games around. Stopping the collectors from massacring humans is your chief priority, but what gives Mass Effect 2 its heart are the people you sail around space with. Staying together on a cramped spaceship makes for some intense relationships, and how you manage each one will determine the kind of experience Shepard has during their quest for victory. No matter whether you feel like being a rebellious renegade or calm paragon, Mass Effect 2 welcomes any playstyle and won't judge you for it. Your companions, however, will. 8. Fallout New Vegas available on PlayStation Now, Xbox One, backwards compatible, PC. I really don't blame the courier for going on their rampage. Someone just shot them in the head, they survived, and now they want answers. But with all of Fallout New Vegas land available to explore right from the beginning, that can wait. Not really a surprise considering it's also one of the best open-world games around. You might even decide that finding the person who shot you in the head is the last thing you want, your survival instinct telling you that you had probably best stay away. Join one of the many fierce factions, try to become the savior of the damned by boosting your good karma, or simply create your own goals. Collect all the teddy bears in the land. Clear Quarry Junction from its pest problem. It's up to you, available on PlayStation Now, Xbox One, backwards compatible, PC. Those gates to Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion aren't going to close themselves, you know. Good job that you're there to help, right? But despite the fact that Daedra are now flooding into Cyrodiil, there are plenty of other things for you to be getting on with besides slaying them. Choosing between joining the Mages Guild, or perhaps you want to spend your time helping the ordinary everyday citizens who have more personal things to worry about than the Oblivion crisis. Unlike Skyrim, there's a class selection screen at the beginning of the game which is ideal for anyone who just wants to pick a build and jump in, but you can also tweak every attribute of your character to create that perfect hero. Cyrodiil calls for aid. 6. Fallout 4 available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. Despite the death and destruction that turned the world into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, everything is still so alive. Including your baby son, who's been stolen from your family. Okay, so this might sound harsh, but you don't even need to find out what happened to him. With hundreds of quests at your disposal, there are other ways to make a name for yourself in the wasteland. Hell, you don't even have to complete quests. There are acres upon acres to explore no matter your level, with your journey around the map littered with stories from before the bombs dropped or from a mere month ago. Whatever kind of survivor you want to be, Fallout 4 gives you the tools to do it. They're probably a bit rusty with age by now, but oh well. Page 3 available on PS4. Good God, Yharnam is beautiful. Even the beasts have a kind of bewitching sadness about them with their broken bodies, as if their stories would be worth hearing if they could only speak. Bloodborne is saturated in atmosphere, and at first you won't be able to envisage ever getting used to tackling the creatures that jump out at you from the shadows. But seeing your character grow from clueless beginner to feared hunter is quite something, even if the main way you'll witness that transformation is through how you wield your weapons. With more somber tone than Dark Souls, Bloodborne's twisted former citizens make all that monster slaying a little heavy on the conscience, but don't let that stop you from fighting back. 4. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild available on Nintendo Switch. Link is a blank canvas. A wonderful, quiet blank canvas that you can turn into stealthy Sheikah, a fully armored knight, or someone who runs around in their underwear throwing chickens at moblins. Link's personality is so malleable that you can do whatever you want in Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and it just feels right, as despite the apocalypse that's on the way, people have their own business to be getting on with and let you do exactly the same. From spotting the tip of a new tower in the distance to navigating one of the mysterious mazes on the edge of the map, your surroundings are so intriguing that the world practically begs you to get distracted, fitting perfectly into the idea that Link has woken up after decades in slumber and just can't stay still. 3. Horizon Zero Dawn, available on PS4. Horizon Zero Dawn is one of the best RPG games around, largely because you have so many questions, and the world has all the answers. As a person, Aloy is awesome in the true meaning of the word, but how you understand her changes just by switching up your approach to combat. Where Aloy might prioritize sneaking over explosions, but if you prefer to whack robots with your spear, her buried rage from being an outcast so long wordlessly bubbles to the surface. However you play her, Aloy isn't just the only one brave enough to tackle the corruption as it spreads through the lands. After a life of being an outcast, the further you walk in her shoes, the more it becomes apparent that her lack of rigid tribal allegiance makes her the perfect hero, as she treats everyone equally, no matter where they hail from. Available on PS4, Xbox One, PC, Nintendo Switch. Be anyone you want. Do anything you want. Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim is rammed full of delirious license. To properly live in its world, you can devote yourself to alchemy and go hunting for a Daedra heart, adventure your way to the top of the companions, or just wander around Skyrim making a living harvesting wheat and potatoes as a farmhand. Sure, the threat of a dragon raising a nearby village is almost ever present. But despite the incoming apocalypse, your goals in Skyrim are just that, your own. Nothing forces you to accept quests. Skyrim boots you out into the open with some looted gear and a whole world at your feet, and then it's up to you to find out what kind of dragonborn you want to be. 1. The Witcher 3, available on PS4, Xbox One, PC. It is not easy being a hero, so it's good job Geralt isn't really one. He's a witcher, someone who's simultaneously feared and needed by everyone from small-minded villagers to snotty aristocrats. Yet one of the weird things about being loathed by most people is that you have utter freedom to treat them however you want. Be a grizzled, harsh Geralt who doesn't have time for their shit, or try to treat them how you'd like to treated, hoping they'll change. Or just ignore them. Because his prerogative is getting paid and hunting the monsters terrorizing the land, you can just sprint around The Witcher 3's world, slaying anything in your way and still be sticking to Geralt's defining quality. He's a witcher. He kills things. How much further you take him is up to you. Current page, page 3, previous page, page 2.